And this is your vlog is fashion and makeup, so
yeah.
to stray into other territory was pretty brave.
Yeah, it was quite scary.
Did you have to think twice about doing it?
Yes, I think that was the second video I'd filmed, and I had to edit out about 40 minutes worth of me just like rambling on and on and on just to sort of get the points out.
Why did you decide that it was the right time to do it?
I think because of how my vlogs were going, I was getting a lot more views, and I get a lot of young people asking me advice questions, and obviously I'm not the best person to give advice, but because it's something that I suffered with, so anyone asked me about anxiety, I was able to give them a bit of advice or comfort them or reassure them that they weren't the only person.
Well, it's something that you started to live with in your early teens, and to begin with, you thought it was just something that everybody had when they were growing up. When they got to that age, anxiety would kick in.
Yeah.
So what did it feel like? Because you started to get panic attacks pretty young, didn't you?
Yes.
What did that feel like?
It's like you're in a room with two people, but you're being smothered, and it's all the walls are sort of coming in, and you get very hot, and your heart races, and you sort of have to take yourself out of the situation. You feel sick, you get like pins and needles, you feel like you're going to faint sometimes. I mean, there's a lot of people that think they're going to die when they have a panic attack because they don't realise what's happening. So it is really scary.
Well, it prevented you, when you were growing up, going to birthday parties and sleepovers, and later, of course, clubs and things like that. You have become an internet sensation. You are incredibly popular. Whatever you post, millions of people will watch. And so that leads to public appearances. That leads to you being asked to go to conferences and things.
Being here.
And being here.
Yeah.
Well, how do you cope with that?
It does make me very nervous, but I'm also excited to do it. So it's almost like I have to rationalise in my head, you know, I am going to be nervous and I probably will feel a little bit anxious, but I really want to do it, so I'm just going to do it and hope for the best.
Well, you've got very good at sort of talking about yourself and those embarrassing things that a lot of people push and hide away. But something that sort of almost goes hand in hand with those anxiety attacks is the feeling and the concern of what other people might think of you. Yeah,
that is my worst thing. I always worry too much about letting people down, or if I'm having a panic attack, I think everyone's staring at me. And it can also affect friendships as well, because if someone doesn't understand how you feel, it's quite difficult to get it across to them, whether they've had panic attacks or not. So what have you said? So if in your situation with your friends, how have you explained it to them? If you're on a night out and suddenly you need to go and just sit upstairs on your own for a while, how do you... I just have to sort of say, it's not you, it's just the situation I'm in. There's a lot of people, I don't feel comfortable. I'm going to go outside and take a breather, or I might go home, depending on which way it goes. I can either get worse or calm down and go back inside. And I think most of the time, I mean, if they're your friends, they'll understand and they'll be supportive, but it definitely is something that's difficult to explain to people that don't understand.
There've been big occasions and small occasions. The small occasion, typical of many, it was a barbecue recently, wasn't it?
At my friend's birthday party.
Yeah, what happened there?
I was feeling quite just under the weather anyway, and there was just a lot of people around, and all of a sudden I just felt very claustrophobic and I needed a bit of space, and I went up to the spare room and I just sort of lay there for a bit, had a panic attack, and then my boyfriend was in New York, so I called him to get her to come upstairs to see me because I couldn't go back downstairs.
Really?
Yeah, but she suffers anxiety too, so she was able to sort of help me calm down.
And the big event was recently a 1D concert.
Yeah, it was last year. We went to see One Direction, and there was a lot of people there that obviously watched the videos, so we didn't apprehend what could happen, and a lot of people sort of swarmed around, and I had a panic attack, and then I went home and I didn't get to actually see them.
Oh, really?
No, I didn't
missed
see
out.
Yeah.
What sort of help is there out there for people? I mean, you went to see your GP when you were 19 years old to sort of talk about it originally, but what's the process? What treatment can you get?
I think the first thing to do would be to speak to somebody like your parents and things first, and just so they can sort of understand how you're feeling, and then the doctors, so you've got like the NHS and things, and you can go and see them. And I always like to stress that if one doctor wasn't maybe as helpful, see another one. Always keep seeing different doctors until you feel happy that you're getting some sort of help from someone. But there's always CBT, which is cognitive behavioural therapy as well, which is
And is that helping you?
Yeah. Definitely.
To be able to do this today, it must be working to some degree.
Yeah, yeah.
And how does that work? What do they do?
It's basically a way of retraining your brain. So obviously I have things in my head that trigger anxiety and different things. It's just a way of taking away those things and retraining your brain so you don't feel like you're in an unsafe environment. And
well, the email that prompted all of this was, and we've changed his name, we're going to call him John. And he said, it would mean a great deal to me if you could do a segment on social anxiety disorder on the show. I'm 19 years old, I have 0 friends, I rarely leave the house, and any social event terrifies me. I see other people my age living their lives whilst I'm sat at home, too afraid to step outside the front door. I've never been to a party or a nightclub before, and I feel like I'm missing out on the best years of my life.
yeah, that's how I felt to some extent as well. I feel like I hope he's like speaking to somebody about it, because that is the first step. I think a lot of people are quite embarrassed to talk about it. So for him to speak out to somebody and maybe go to the doctors or seek some other sort of advice would really help.